All right,
I don't know if they're ready to start,
Yeah,
or waiting on for somebody else.
all right, let's bring the meeting to order. Welcome, everybody. Chris, good to have you back, buddy.
Good to be back.
About time.
All right, so go down the agenda. We'll start the board minutes from, last month. You got them in front of you and everything. Is there any concern, questions? Anybody have any reason to doubt them or want to add something to them?
Motion approved as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. To the next, next action item, that would be the treasurer's reports.
Do we need to do the special? Talking about the special meeting, do we need to do that one as well?
Oh, no, we need to approve those and
I
not.
don't think we have to approve those right now. We're just making it out there so people can see.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the treasurer's report.
All right, looking at the first one where it says assets. Cash and checking is, you're gonna see next month go down because we opened up the third CD on the 3rd of March. So, that was in the Palmgenoxy, bank savings. So you're gonna see that one open up as well. And I think everything else, nothing to comment on. Anybody got any questions on the assets? Okay, next one, liabilities. Don't have anything to comment on that one. So let's go to the spreadsheet. You're gonna see the interest income has been split out. Interest income going into checking, that's, interest on what's in the checking accounts, stuff physically. The interest CDs, that is the one of the two that we had previously where the interest is rolled up into the CDs. That's not spendable money. It's our money, but it's rolled up into the CD. So that's a total of, 1,928.25, of which only 154.16. Coming down to operating expenses. We have, Evergy, the 39.28. Bookkeeping is 125, QuickBooks is 35, and the bank statement is $5. We had to pay insurance, which is another $358. Just notice that's not on here. Okay, that's in the LCPA, yeah. So that's everything that we did.
And we signed a new contract to have everything we needed and mailed, right?
We haven't signed it yet. He hasn't sent it over, but yeah, he's getting there. Yeah.
I think we approved that last month, but we haven't got anything as far as submitted for payment yet.
Okay.
So I entertain a motion to approve treasurer's report.
So moved.
Last second.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Moving on, Lisa, I guess you have a table now.
Okay, thank you. So in February, we had 4 new project RFIs come through. Project Gold Rush is actually one that came to us back in October. It's down there underneath the ongoing projects. But it came back revised. They've expanded some things. Originally, it is a manufacturer of components used in the US energy supply chain. And they were originally looking for a 40-acre greenfield site, and we did submit the Leavenworth Business and Technology Park for that. They came back for this revision, and they have a strong preference for an existing building. Unfortunately, we don't have that, but I checked in, made sure that they are still keeping us in mind. And they said yes, as if they decide to go, to a greenfield site, then they will consider our park. So, Project Viking, and that one was from KCADC. There were 3 more that came in, all ones that we just didn't have the properties for. Project Viking, they needed rail access. They were looking for 40 plus or minus acres for a production facility. Project Aquarius needed a 95,000 square foot building, at least 95,000 square foot facility with cranes in the building. And then the other statewide real estate search was looking for existing buildings between 500,000 and 1,000,000 square feet. And of course, we keep track of that. So we kind of have an idea at some point, we can look back and say, what kinds of projects were we not able to respond to because of lack of inventory. So ongoing projects, 19 total. I really don't have too much to say about any of those at this point. I will say generally project activity is a little slow right now. And I'm hearing that from some of my other colleagues. Yesterday, one from Indiana is seeing the same thing. We think it's generally because of the uncertainty of the tariffs and that kind of thing going on. Because usually at this time last year, we were really busy with project activity. Any questions on the project and leads report? Okay. Let's see. So as you know, and we'll probably have more discussion, we had our work session with the BOCC, and out of that, one of the things that they have indicated, the Board of County Commissions, it's indicated that they would like some updates quarterly. And so I did go ahead and reach out to the county and ask to get those scheduled right away.
Yeah.
And so Becky has responded to me with 3 dates, May 21st, August 20th, and November 19th. Do I need to say those again? I see already some people. Okay, the May 21st, August 20th, and November 19th. So those will be updates. As I understand, there'll be combined updates between LCDC and the Port Authority. I will appreciate, I plan to make every one of those. Of course, if there's somebody from the Port Authority and then of course somebody from the LCDC, that would be great. Input on, I've asked the commissioners to let us know what kind of information specifically would be helpful as we put those presentations together.
Could you send out calendar invites on that and get that logged in, please?
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Oh, so I provided testimony in opposition of Senate Bill 283 in Topeka on the 6th of March. We received an email from the Department of Commerce informing us that that Senate bill was being heard. The bill proposes to put in a sunset on some of our key incentive programs such as HPIP, the High Performance Incentive Program, and the Promoting Employment Across Kansas PEAK program. And so I felt it was our duty. We've had very close interaction. We work with these programs. We have helped in the last decade, 12 of our companies use these programs. 11 of them are still existing, and they have been able to, through those programs, save some tax credits and sales tax exemptions. But in return, those companies have created 339 jobs and invested $102 million in Leavenworth County. So, and we are, as I understand, one of the only, if not the only, economic development organization that actually helps these companies with that paperwork. We keep track of when that paperwork is due. We help them decide what information they need to put together, and we put it into the paperwork, and we even take it to the post office. And we just feel like that's a value we can provide to our existing companies so they can continue working on their businesses and continue to invest more into their businesses. Of course, I should say that the state oversees this. They receive these packets and they look over them and make sure everything is correct. So anyway, we did go ahead and speak on that. And then I just want to let you guys know LCDC has a second quarter investor luncheon coming up on the 10th of April. We really need you to register for that ahead because there's lunch involved. So there is a small cost to that. This one will be in Tonganoxie at LEB's. It's the old Casey's. We'll have there some updates, one from Lance Colliard from DSM Firmenich, somebody from the city of Tonganoxie, and somebody from the Tonganoxie Business Association.
I'll send out an invite on those.
We will.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think an invite's already been sent
Yeah,
out.
seen it.
I got mine.
Yeah.
We'd love to have you out there. And then the other date I was gonna tell you about is we have our golf tournament date. Identified the 12th of September at Fort Leavenworth Trails West Golf Club, so that'll look forward to that. And a couple other things, I've got 2 trips, marketing trips on the books. So in April, at the end of April, I'll be going to Southern Economic Development Council to meet the consultants conference in Atlanta. Then in the beginning of May, I'll be attending a conference in Kansas City. It's called Next Gen Talks, so I took advantage of the fact that it's here in Kansas City, and I've offered to volunteer any way I can there too. And then hopefully, I've submitted to Team Kansas the trips that I would like for our investment, and hopefully we'll get those back soon. Hopefully they'll let me know soon when those are. It'll be about 5 trips. And other than that, that is my report. Thank you.
Any questions? Additional information for anybody? Lisa, thank you very much.
Mhm.
Sure. Did Greg got on in?
He is. He's on.
Hi, Greg. You want to share the regional transportation or any information for us?
Sure, I'll try to. You guys can hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Report is rather lengthy, but I'm just going to hit a few items on the K5 corridor. Kimley Horn, who is doing the initial study on that, they're still gathering information. They're finalizing that process, getting traffic counts, fresh records, as-built plans from KDOT, existing road. Still waiting on a little bit of information from Mark. Once they have that, then they will start to detailed documentation of the existing conditions. Last week, I think most of you may have got to enjoy the presentation by Bill Knoll of the Safe Streets Vision Zero presentation that was given at the county. The county commission did accept that study last Wednesday. Probably the 30,000 foot view. Well, I guess the study, it kind of looks at where can we do improvement to reduce crashes, to reduce fatalities within Leavenworth County. The 30,000 foot view is the types of crashes we have are roadway departures, intersection related, motorcyclists, impaired driver, and young drivers. Probably not a lot of big surprises there. A lot of motorcycle riding in the county. Sometimes involves alcohol. Probably doesn't help anything. Attached are several heat maps that kind of look at accident and high risk areas within the county. If you just count the county roads versus if you count state highways along with that. I'll leave that to you for your enjoyment. Kind of the back pages, the charts there is the one I like. I'm kind of a numbers person. And this looks over 10 years and kind of looks at, what's the total crashes, fatality, serious injuries. And right off the bat, you see one of the top ones was Parallel Parkway and K7 Highway, 118 crashes. And obviously KDOT did address that last year by putting J turns in. Another one, Fairmont Road and K7. But you can kind of go down through there and see where the hot areas are. The county will use these to apply for grants to try to make improvements so that we can reduce the number of fatalities and accidents at these locations. The other thing, which I touched on last month, the Tonganoxie Road Improvement Project that's being administered by KDOT. Those bids are due tomorrow at 1 p.m. So we'll have an update on that after that. And I'd be glad to try to answer any questions.
Thanks for putting this together. It's very extensive and I'm gonna have to digest a lot of it myself. You did a fine job with it, I appreciate it.
And if you want more information on the safe routes and all that, I think that will be posted on the county's website. I don't know if Bill's got it done yet or not, but I think he was waiting on the commissioner's signature or something to sign off on it.
Anybody got any questions for him? That's great. Greg, thank you very much.
Welcome.
Hang around as long as you can, buddy.
Well,
All right. All right. Anybody here want to talk about the regional transportation, or excuse me, the industrial site committee? Okay. I think you may hear from the members of that. Okay, we'll move on to the future funding committee. The funding initiative, the special board meeting. And Lisa, you want to speak to that?
I guess, well, we need to readdress the, whether or not the Port Authority would like to approve going forward with the education plan. I think that you all decided to reconvene after the BOCC work session that took place last Wednesday. And I don't know, I guess
Okay,
that's enough.
basically, we need to vote whether we're gonna go ahead with the extra money spent with Golden Shovel to help us educate the voting groups out there in Leavenworth County. Pursuant then to a second poll as to whether we stand a chance of success at the end of that. So I guess.
Was that the cost of the 30,000? Is that what we were? That was
Yes.
the cost, okay.
I guess I need a motion, second for a vote and everything.
I thought it was 50,000, 30,000 for the education and then another 20,000 for the survey.
The second survey, the 20,000 for the second survey.
But that's, we don't necessarily have to authorize the second survey, but it would behoove us to do so, but we don't have to do that now.
That's how I understood it.
That makes sense, Greg?
Yeah, and I guess I'm still, I'm gonna vote no on it because I still think we need to reach out to our other partners. We reached out to the county, but I think we have three cities we need, or 4 cities we need to reach out to. And I guess I don't see the hurry in getting it started so soon, but I do think we definitely have an education problem, especially after listening to the speaker at the county commission last meeting. When there was public comment, obviously she wasn't aware of what Port Authority or LCDC does. So we definitely have an education problem, but I want to get all of our partners on board before we move forward.
I would vote yes, only because, and Greg, I would disagree with you on some of this. Mainly because that's part of the job of Golden Shovel is gonna help us to define that message. With the whole idea of being success at the end of it. And part of that is when we go out to talk to our partners, they're gonna help us define our message to the partners. So I would vote that we go ahead and spend that money.
Yeah, I don't think time's on our side, or I'd be going along with Greg, but I think with what we're doing and the way the county's cutting back, I think this would be important for us to go ahead and get this started.
You know, are you talking about both of them or just?
It's at 30 right now.
Just a 30.
Every time I see thousands of dollars, it scares me, so I like to separate. I don't feel as bad when I go for the second one.
And Chris?
Just, I'd like to start saying in some discussions, understand that all of the Port Authority members, when we vote for that 30, when they go to these cities and stuff, you may be asked to lend your expertise to answer questions and go the shovel. They're not gonna go by themselves.
Yeah.
And that you'll have to come up with some slides on exactly what is LCDC's mission, what's LCPA. Taking the assumption that who you're briefing has no knowledge or has long since forgotten it.
I thought I meant very clear as the chairman of the county last week that I thought you're all on the right step on this, and that's something I still believe.
I just want to make sure that there's no hidden agendas or surprises that once we do, and I am for doing 30 moving ahead. But it's not Golden Shovel by itself, and I just want to make sure it's transparent.
I agree.
Well, I think the long-term goal has always been a stable funding mechanism for economic development in Leavenworth County. And the Port Authority, I think, is perfectly designed. Is it the perfect right today, this second? I don't know about that. But it's the perfect design for a funding mechanism for economic development. With our abilities and the things that we can do by statute. I don't disagree with Greg. I would sure like to have more of our partners educated at a higher level. But I don't know how that's going to happen without some support or help. In my mind, the 30,000 is basically a part-time employee of the Port Authority. LCDC has to help us, but they have their own jobs as well. So we're basically hiring a part-time employee that we're not paying benefits to and Social Security and all those other things to get the ball rolling. I'm not sure that I would sign off at all on another poll until we see how these things turn out. I think I vote yes for it.
Mike, you was a no or a yes for it?
And maybe, I say yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Absolutely.
gotcha.
According to my numbers, the motion carries 4-1. We do have a quorum here today.
Okay.
So. Thank you, everybody. I know Golden Shovel was curious how that was gonna turn out.
Now they're
Now,
always curious because they get paid.
Yes.
you're always so good to be honest. You're always so good to be honest. We'll move on to our affiliated partner updates and then you have me sitting here, so we'll reach out to you first.
Great, so obviously, we're all watching the FIFA World Cup 2026, coming here to the region in June. No, we were notified that, the Kansas City FIFA World Cup group set up, regional transportation systems this past week. So bus systems, 200 buses that go across state lines. We're watching this obviously short term from a tourism perspective. Are we gonna have visitors internationally come to visit the area? But I think as Greg was talking about our regional transportation systems, I think that's where these type of things are good to keep an eye on and watch. These will be bus systems and other systems to the airport, to downtown Kansas City. I think we all know what we need for the future's long-term transportation system. So just kind of hopeful and positive that World Cup might also encourage that regional approach to some of our existing systems.
Yeah.
That's really the only update I have for today.
No, I really enjoyed that presentation they made, and I guess we tend to forget here in the United States, we only like cars. Most of the other countries that are involved in this don't, they're used to buses, so we're gonna have to step up the plate or we will get a bad rating on the World Cup experience here. But they're right, there are not enough rooms in Kansas City. We really touched in Leavenworth for places for people to stay. It might be a particular ethnic group, for goodness sakes, they're all gonna stay in one area. Yeah, well, and I would think as a community, we would answer to whatever they need if we had the ability to do it.
Well,
But
I'd
that's
sure
the
ask.
intent of this.
For Leavenworth and for anybody, any other community, if you're doing something, what can we do as a Port Authority? I don't know that I have any expertise whatsoever in tourism or soccer. But is there anything you need to call on us for, or just a support letter or something?
I think we're all a part of this happening, right? So we know, last week, the White House announced they're having a task force on, the World Cup happening here in the United States. So they're setting up some systems and structures. Their focus is a little bit on fire and police and kind of that safety perspective. We know that regionally, the World Cup Committee is working with, some of those existing groups that we have those one-on-one relationships with, the KCATA, MARC, these are the regional transportation folks. So I'd say just to be as plugged in as we can. I hesitate to, make a recommendation as we're all, I think, still a little bit in the learning mode.
Yeah.
What does this mean? What can we expect? But really just to stay plugged in. And then, I think there's where are those opportunities for us to draw people here is something, as we have a Convention and Visitors Bureau, they're looking at that. Is that an activity? Is that, website, Facebook? What does that mean to try to draw folks here and get that, temporary bump for visitors here? So I'd say just stay plugged in and information sharing, right? So everyone has those connections to the region and making sure we're all doing the best we can to, as we know those things happening, sharing it so we can make those assessments.
Thank you, Penny.
Mhm.
Who else do we have on? George? Any updates from Toggy?
There we go. Thanks. Yeah, just a few quick updates. We're happy to announce that our 4th Street Bridge replacement project is in its final stages. We'll do a final inspection this week on it, as it's one of the main thoroughfares that comes through. If you think of downtown Tonganoxie, it's actually 4th Street that cuts through as the main street. You know, from the city's perspective, this is the 2nd bridge we've replaced in 2 years, and during that same time frame, we've also reduced the city mill levy rate by 4 mills. So we're hopeful that our constituents are seeing a good return on their property tax investments from an infrastructure standpoint. A couple of planning approvals, final plat approval for a development in Stone Creek. It's 12 new single-family homes. So this is on the north side of the original Stone Creek plat, and on the south side, we have the Roush Coleman project going in. The developer here is someone you would all know. The nice thing about these 12 new single-family homes, the price points are $550 and up. So we're excited to see that. We're kind of running low on that product. The Roush Coleman project, it continues to move quickly. To date, they've pulled 46 building permits. And again, that's going to be 142 homes when it's all said and done. So glad to see them moving quickly and having success. And then a couple of fun projects. So one that Diana Dodd had actually worked on to help this group get a Grow Leavenworth County loan process, and it's County Road Brewing. It's located in Urban Hess. This couple bought an existing building there, and it's a nano brewery. It'll have some food products, and they're opening in April. It's essentially for Commissioner Smith right across from the annex there in Tonganoxie. Not that county employees will go have a beer during the day, but it'd be nice to have one at the end of the day at least. And then right across the street from that, at the intersection of Lamming and Tonganoxie Drive, we had a final approval for Whiskey Ridge Distillery, which is a 6,000 square foot facility. It'll do whiskey and some other spirits, and as well we'll have a restaurant component to that. And Dan Lynch is the project developer owner on that. So a couple of fun projects that we don't normally get to talk about. With that, everyone have a good afternoon. Thank you.
Greg? George?
Yeah, Joel, I think he's on there.
Joel's
Oh,
on.
I think so.
I don't know, I think his notes.
I don't want to miss any of our partners. There's somebody else on from Lansing or Baser. You're obviously here from Lansing. Okay, and we'll reach over to our colleague over here from Lansing.
It's
So
easy.
the only active activities I think that the group would be interested in are 50-unit townhouse apartments on Mary. It's going up, frames are up. They started on the rooftop, so it's proceeding. And if you continue right down Mary Street, they poured a lot of cement. They've got houses up on the swimming pool. The parking lot is done. So moving ahead with that, and that one is not a property tax project, it's sales tax. So they're hiring people to be guards,
Lifeguards.
yeah, lifeguards and such now. And the main person is Parks and Recs, obviously, to run it. I think they've got somebody for that. The only other stuff we got going on, we got some a lot of projected stuff out on McIntyre Road. Some of it's getting pushed back, some of it's not. But that gets into the education about how we move forward as a community.
You're really gonna become a great teacher here in the next, 6-8 months, aren't you? From all.
I sleep 2 days in a row and I forget it all. That's everything.
Thank you very much. Have I missed any of our partners or
Oh, your partner.
missed any of our partners to begin with that's logged on, maybe don't know it? Okay, Lisa?
I should have included in part of my report, it just really occurred this morning. So we have a project that, Chris, you mentioned that you knew that the lots in the Urban IST's buildings were for sale.
You're still for sale?
Yes, so they have reached out to me. I've talked to their real estate agent. I've talked to now the CEO of Wilkerson Crane Company. They've given me permission to use their name. I started with a project name, Project Boost, but they have said they have no problem with us using their name. So they're looking at those properties. They're looking at look, I don't know if you mind, Chris, pointing out on that map. 15 and 16, which are the ones where the buildings are. And that's where IST has two buildings,
There's
15 and 16.
here and here,
Then 17.
county is here,
Yes,
Lungu is here.
yes. Then besides those, yes, right there, they're buying that one. We don't, that was already sold. That was SNS Alloy
Yes.
owned by them. So LCPA doesn't have a real estate contract for that one. The third one that LCPA has had a contract with IST is that 17.
Yep.
And within that real estate contract, there is a requirement that the property owner build a building of at least 5,000 square feet within 4 years of this contract, and this contract is March 7th, 4 years ago, well,
2 years ago.
3 years ago, because then 2026 will be 4 years ago. So they have 1 more year. And so this morning I had a quick initial meeting with the real estate contractor and the CEO of Wilkerson Crane Company, and they asked what the Port Authority, how the Port Authority would feel about potentially getting rid of that requirement. The Wilkerson Crane Company is currently operating in Bonner Springs, and they have grown so fast. Within the last 4 years, they've grown from 30 employees to 130. And they do a lot of, obviously, crane service, but they also do some trucking and some storage, generally for companies that are getting ready to do crane service. And so they need to expand, and they're looking at these 4 lots in the Urban Hess Business Center. They want to be upfront, transparent completely. They want to tell you that for the property that's number 17, it does not have a building on it. And they would like to have that for outdoor storage. The first thing I've said is that they need to go and meet with the city. They will hopefully have a pre-development meeting with them very soon. And then, but what I'm here today is asking is what are your thoughts about, getting rid of that requirement to build that building? And you've had some things.
Yeah, first of all, I think it's important they meet with George first before LPA takes a stance one way or another. They need to meet with the city. I hate to make any comments outside of that, quite frankly, but that's my personal opinion until I meet with George. There may be some zoning things that have to be gone through and everything like that at the city level before we even talk about those lots involved.
Be stabbed.
And I don't even want to comment positive or negative at this particular point in time. We get a report from George as to where he stands on this, or the city of Condi.
Well, my perspective on any land owned by the LCPA is if we sell it to somebody who takes it and they go out and do speculation and we have no control over that. That's not what we've been about. Now, maybe it's okay because we get some money.
No, it's not.
From a general perspective, the reason that language is in that contract, so if he doesn't build a building, he's not speculating and selling it and trying to make profit off of us. Why don't we get that back and sell it to a business to create jobs, create tax base? That's the whole purpose of this organization, unless we change it. So that would not change my mind at all. That if they just want to have that out there and take that off, so they can sell it to somebody else and make $50,000 or 20,000 or lose 50, I don't know. That's not what I thought we signed on and sold that to him for. And I wouldn't change for that now, if this crane company's coming in or whoever, and they're gonna create jobs, tax base, that's a conversation to have.
Well, and that's what we're waiting on. I want to stay positive with this until they talk to George I see both sides of this. There's a clawback specifically in there that says that we can buy the lot back for the 20 grand. And in addition, one thing we could talk about, it, I'm sure George will do it, I don't need to speak for him, there's land right behind them that are adjacent to the properties that they own, Mr. Lynch owns. Same sort of lots and everything like that, so that shouldn't be a precursor and everything, but I wanna be positive, like I said, I'm with you right there on that, but we need to wait till they talk to George and everything, there may be some things that keep them from doing it, I don't know. I don't wanna speak for a city in that, until they've had an opportunity to look at it.
Mr. Chairman, I got a comment too. I'm familiar with Wilkerson Crane. They've got locations, I think down off 635, I hear Bonner Springs. I think I'd like a better feel of what are we gonna get out of it, or what's the county gonna get out of it, the city? Are they gonna register any of their trucks in Leavenworth County, or are they gonna be registered in Wyandotte County? And then they're just gonna bring them into Leavenworth County. And again, the jobs or the people, I think they're gonna come more from Kansas City, so I question how many jobs it's gonna create. So I guess as we're gathering information, I'd like to get a better feel, be it the Wichita model or whatever, of what's the benefit to the county and to the city financially.
Good point.
I think all those are great points, and like I said, I think much like the project we had, a year ago in Baser, we're kind of waiting for the Ts to be crossed and the Is to be dotted and everything with cities before I want to make an official comment from the Port Authority, unless somebody's got a different opinion. No sense in us talking about things we don't have all the data on yet.
Yeah, I agree.
So. Anything else, please?
Unless there's another comment, I think I just want to clarify that number one, the first requirement is to make sure that they've had a meeting with the city and that the city of Tonganoxie is on board with what their plans are. Number two, that we need to know more information about the positive impact it's gonna have on Leavenworth County, such as asking about where they're gonna register trucks, in what county, number of jobs it's going to create, those sort of things.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that was kind of an addition there real quick. Anybody else got anything? Accept the motion for adjournment.
So, second.
Give them last meeting, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? It's opposed to last meeting, to 1:30, I think this is great.
Got it back this one.
Well, and, with regard to that, yeah, George, I wanted George